To get started making an audio composition, run the Resolve application. In the Projects dialog box that appears first, click New Project. In the Create New Project dialog box, enter a descriptive name, informative but not too long. By default, Resolve stores your projects in locations with paths that look like these. You might need to know these later on if you want to move your projects to another computer or share them with a collaborator. Next, open the Fairlight page. There's 3 ways to do it. You could click the Fairlight icon, which looks like 2 musical eighth notes at the bottom of the workspace. Or click the Workspace menu, then hover over Switch to Page, then click Fairlight. Or press Shift-7. Note that keyboard shortcuts are usually listed next to the corresponding items in the menus. This point is always frustrating. Why can't I drag a file in? Why can't I do anything? Where's even time on the time? Oh yeah, this is a program for video editors, and video editors like to think in multiple timelines because they have different scenes that they're putting together. We need to make a timeline. Click the File menu, then click New Timeline. Then things should start looking more familiar. Follow the prompts to create a new timeline with mono audio tracks. Recommended choices include start time code of zeros. A timeline name with the default is usually fine because you'll probably only need one timeline for a fixed media composition. Number of video tracks, 1 is the minimum, and that's fine for an audio-only project. Number of audio tracks, 10 should give you plenty of room to work. You can add or delete tracks later. Audio track type mono. This is because you're going to be taking control of the surround space as part of the composition process. Remember that you can click the names of panels to make them appear or disappear if you want to clear up more space. In your operating system's file browser, name your original source recording something like ~original.wave. A symbol like tilde will help make it easier to find at the top or bottom of a list when you sort it alphabetically. For extra safety against accidentally overwriting your original source recording, make a zip file from it. This will make an unaltered copy every time you decompress it. By the way, this is lossless file compression, so there's no concern about sound quality as there is with lossy MP3 audio data compression. Bring your original source recording into the project. There's multiple ways to do it. Drag the file directly onto a track in your timeline. Drag the file into the Media Pool window and then drag it from the Media Pool into the timeline. Or use the File menu, click Import, Media, then drag the file from the Media Pool into the Just drag it in. Save your project and get in the habit of saving it often. Select the File menu and then Save, or use the keyboard shortcut listed beside it in the menu. Select Focus Mode from the toolbar at the top of the Workspace window. This makes the cursor change tools based on where you hover over a clip. Hover over the top half to select a time range. Hover over the bottom half to drag the clip around. Click the Fairlight menu, then View Clip Info Display. In the next dialog box, set Name to show Clip Name, and click OK. Finding sounds. Listen through your source material and find a sound you might like to use in a composition. Some useful controls include spacebar to start and stop playback. Alternatively, click the transport controls at the top of the window, for example, play, stop, rewind, record. Click among time markings or drag the position marker to skip to different time points. When you've found a sound to use in your composition, hover over the top half of the clip with the Focus Mode tool and select the time range containing your sound, plus a margin on each side. Mute the track containing your source sound by clicking the M button in the track controls. M's for mute. Use the Copy function. It's under the Edit menu, but get used to using the keyboard shortcut listed for it. That'll copy the selected time range into memory, and then click an empty space in another track and use the Paste function to place the clip. To trim and fade, place the position marker near one end of the clip and zoom in so you can see the edge of the clip and the edge of your desired sound. Listen carefully and decide how much time you can trim off. Trim the clip. There's 2 ways to do it. Drag the edge of the clip, or drag to highlight the unwanted area and press the Delete key. Zoom in if needed, trim again if needed, then drag the fade handle from the top corner of the clip to make a fade. Always make a fade, no matter how small, to avoid making clicks. For long fades, drag the handle in the middle of the fade line to change the shape of the fade. Repeat these steps for the end of the clip. Consider pasting multiple copies of the clip to make different versions of it. Consider reversing clips so that they play backward. Select Reverse Clip from the contextual menu when you secondary click a clip. Secondary click is what we used to call right click, but it's different on laptops and other pointer devices, so we call it secondary click. You may want different shapes of fades in and out after reversing. Name your clip by double-clicking the bottom half of the clip. In the Clip Attributes dialog box that appears, enter a brief but descriptive name and click OK. Then unmute the source soundtrack and repeat these steps to find more sounds. Export your sounds. Select all the sound clips you made. Click and drag to select all the clips. Next, secondary click in a track under the timeline. That is, pull up the contextual menu by right-clicking, control-clicking, clicking with two fingers, and so on, depending on your operating system settings, and click Export Audio Files. In the Export Audio Files dialog box, check the settings. For the file name, let it be the clip name. For file format, any format should be fine. For sample rate, same as the project should be fine, but it should be at least 44.1 kHz or 48 kHz for video. Multiples of either of those are fine if you have a lot of disk space free. Bit depth should be 24 unless you're short on disk space. And about normalization. Any option should be fine except for no normalization and sample peak program. The simplest would be true peak at -2 or 0 decibels true peak, dBTP. Normalizing just amplifies a sound so it uses the whole available dynamic range, so all the ingredients of your composition start off on a level playing field. Always select some normalization mode. Then click Export. The new files will appear in the Media Pool window. You can delete the raw clips from the timeline or just keep them on one track and mute that track. Consider clicking the track names and naming them something more helpful. Then start composing. Drag sounds from the media pool into the timeline and start making your composition. In the mixer panel, adjust the pan and fader level of each track as desired. Pan is short for panorama, meaning all of the space, in most cases just left to right. And the fader level controls the loudness. Then automate processing parameters. Select a parameter from the drop-down menu on a track. A line will appear indicating the parameter's currently set value. Alt-click in Windows or Option-click in macOS on the line to add breakpoints to the line. In video, these are called keyframes because the frame is the smallest unit of time in a video. Drag the points to new levels to make the parameter change smoothly over time. Alternatively, use the pencil tool on the toolbar to draw more complex curves. To delete automation points, use the focus tool. Drag on the upper half of the clip to highlight an area of automation points to delete and press the delete key. Note that you can also copy and paste automation curves. Set the parameter menu back to None to hide automation curves and select and move around audio clips as before. Consider changing the speed and pitch of a clip. Click to select a clip, then open the Inspector panel using the Workspace menu or the Inspector button along the top of the window. As desired, change the pitch in semitones, which would be a coarse control equal to the keys on a piano, or in cents, meaning hundredths of a semitone. Or change the speed percentage, with or without the options to ripple timeline, which maintains the content of the clip rather than maintaining its duration. Or pitch correction, which shifts the pitch to keep it the same rather than letting it change proportionally with the speed. To export, set the position marker at the beginning of the range you want to export, click the Mark menu, and click Mark In. The up and down arrows might be useful. Repeat the previous step at the end of your desired range and mark Out. Video editors think of the in and out points rather than the start and end. Double check that each track is muted or unmuted as desired. Select the Deliver page by clicking the icon at the bottom of the window, or select it from the Workspace menu. In the Render Settings panel on the left, set a file name and location. Uncheck Export Video. On the Audio tab, set Format, WAV, Codec, Linear PCM. This means no compression. Bit depth, 16 or 24. Check the Normalize Audio box, and unless you're targeting an outlet that has different specifications, select Mode, True Peak, Target Level, 0.0 decibels True Peak, and check boxes for all output tracks. At the bottom, click Add to Render Queue. At the bottom of the Render Queue panel, in the upper right, click Render All. Next. Are you done? What's left? Always check the file you rendered. Yes, all the way through. Does it have the correct name, location, format, and duration? Are the beginning and end correct? Are the sound contents and overall loudness correct? Did any hiccups create any glitches upon export? Make sure it's in line with all the well-formedness points in the syllabus.